Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Brandon Crow watching from Hockey Canada. Writes in and he says, my wife and her two sisters all played NCAA Division I hockey. They attribute it to waiting around that chute as kids and using those prairie oysters as hockey puck. Shooting them for the dog. Here's
Bingo!
one. All the raw testicles that I collected one day, I put them in a margarine container. Remember the old Imperial margarine that had the purple crowns around it? I put them all in there, and I took them to a party, a bush party. You've been there, Moose. You weren't at that one, but you've been to them. And I was going to cook them. I was going to cook them and make people eat them and not tell them what they were till after. But it didn't matter because Philip Kenyon took one, popped it in his mouth, crunched it raw. And he was smiling, and the blood ran down just like this.
He knew what it was?
I will never forget. He knew what it was. Philip Kenyon.
That was Fear Factor before there was Fear Factor with Joe Rogan.
I know. Beer might have been involved. But the next time that we're driving to Montana, I'll show you exactly where it is, because a lot of stuff went down at that site. A lot of stuff. I'm not going to go any further, but just remind me later. I'll tell you about the bikers that were on their way back from Sturgis from the rally that stopped at our party.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Let's just imagine that Steve Armitage is hosting the broadcast tonight. How would that go, Mike?
Oh, thanks, Mark. It's going to be a great series as the Calgary Flames, a fabulous city, up against Edmonton. Edmonton, germs, disease, sweatpants with good shoes.
Don't bring the hate on Rod. This is all on this end, folks. Be mad at this guy.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show and a brand new week here from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino, where we had big fun all weekend long. But I hope you're ready to open a brand new week here. Episode number 1059 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. Start spreading the news. We're live on Game Plus TV. Also the radio, WQEE. For those that like to watch on the streams, we're rocking it on YouTube right now when podcast. Let's bring in our co-host for the day, maybe more than one day. We'll see how it goes. Kevin the Medium joining us here at Century Downs. How you doing, Kev?
I am doing well. I didn't know this was an audition.
Yeah, it is. I didn't tell you.
You didn't tell me
Those
this.
are the best kind.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so hey, we've got some funny stories to get to coming out of a wonderful weekend, and there's going to be a lot of Kev and I today. Our guests will be appearing via video. Darrin Bauming from Bonfire Sports Winnipeg and NHL.com. He covers the Jets. And Jim Lang, Canada's foremost expert on the NFL. Jim Lang will be joining us in hour two, coming out of the first full weekend of NFL preseason play. And by the way, Clark, I got two messages for you. One, and I meant to say this earlier, would you mind texting Jim and seeing if he'll come in for segment 2 of hour 2? Give him a little more time. Maybe keep him for a couple segments, because there's a lot of things we could talk to Jim Clubber Lang about. Are you there, Clark?
Yeah, sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, we got a lot of stuff going on here, too. So can you please text Jim and see if he'll be available for segment 2? And I've also put a photo in the WhatsApp, because Moose is on holidays here right now. We don't need to get to it immediately, but there's a photo in our WhatsApp. Can you please get it handy and throw it up on the screen when you have it? Moose is on holidays, but that didn't stop him from going to the Argos game last night. Were you going to say something?
We do have it if you want to put it in.
Okay, so no, not right now, but we'll get to it. Just wanted to let you know that. So those are the guests. That's what's going on, and a couple funny things. Number one, we are at the horse racing here, the Ralph Klein Memorial. Do I have the right name for that, Karen? The Ralph Klein Memorial. Lots of races, standard-bred races here. You lost some money, but not all your money.
I'm still recovering from that whole $8 I lost by that much. And
Yeah.
folks, it was seriously that.
I might even
much.
been less than that. A photo finish. Yeah. And I don't know, say one of the jockeys, drivers came up to me out of the blue. I don't know how or why these things happen to me.
Number 5.
You've been around me enough. These things just happen to me. And I was leaning on the rail, and the driver says, "Nice pink shorts." I'm like, "Thank you. I think so." And he goes, "I want to be like you when I grow up." It's exactly what he said, right?
Word for word, that's what he said.
And what did I say?
You said, "Keep growing, buddy."
I didn't say buddy. I said, "Keep growing." And he didn't seem to find it that funny.
He didn't. And what place did he end up coming in?
Last.
And who bet on him?
You. Right. So I was like, hey, spend a little more time racing, a little less time yapping. And then later that night, we went to the Stampeders watch party at the Shark Club, and they had a trivia contest at halftime. And you didn't really like this. They brought 2 people out of the crowd, and I leaned over the rail, and as they were answering the questions, I was yelling the answers over the rail, and you're like, "Shut up!"
You were heckling.
No, I was just answering the questions.
Before they were, though.
Well, that's what I did. It was my job for 20 years in the CFL to know these things. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun. Thank you, Shark Club, for hosting us. And thank you, Clark, because I don't... Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan? And we'll get on track here. I said we got a lot of time to do a lot of things. So... this is what I love about the RP show. Thank you, Clark, for waiting. And throw this up. This was from the Argos game last night. We're going to get to it in a second. But these are 2 viewers of our show from across the country. Jamie on the left and Troy on the right. That's Troy in Toronto on the right. Jamie from Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia, the home of Sidney Crosby on the left. They've come together through this show, and they knew Moose was going to be at the game, so they got a picture with him at BMO Field.
Oh, that's
so that's pretty exciting.
I
eh?
saw you put that up in the chat, and I was going to ask who that was.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
I knew these guys will be tuned in today, and they just new friends of mine through the show, and they watched on Eastlink Cable out in the Maritimes, where Game Plus TV is available, and, of course, in Toronto on Rogers and Cogeco Cable. So, yeah, Moose is on vacation, but he's still going to the games. And we'll get to the CFL in a second. We got so much to get to, but I'm going to open with the Blue Jays. Number 1, Dalton Varsho homered and had 5 RBIs. Hyun Jin Ryu pitched 5 innings to win for the first time since returning from elbow surgery, and the Toronto Blue Jays beat the Cubs 11-4 on Sunday to avoid a sweep. Whit Merrifield had 4 hits. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had 2 and 2 RBIs, and Brandon Belt reached base 4 times as the Blue Jays snapped a 3-game skid. Everybody's excited about the Blue Jays because they're getting guys back from injury. Looks like Bo Bichette's close. They showed him running the bases last night before the game. Yeah, so we're feeling good about the Toronto Blue Jays here in the second half. Jordan Romano, I was searching for his name. The guy that does the restaurant commercials, he is active in his rehab stint as well. So the Blue Jays are getting healthy. The schedule's getting easier-ish. We're feeling good about that. Point 2, a quick note about the Canadian Elite Basketball League. The Scarborough Shooting Stars won the CBL championship for the first time in franchise history Sunday, beating the Calgary Surge 82-70 at the Langley Event Center. Did you watch any of it?
I didn't watch any of it.
What were you watching yesterday?
Football.
Well, not good for the CEBL to be going up right against the same time as the Argos and Red Blacks on TSN. But what are you going to do? And part of what was in my commentary today was, this was kind of like a Vegas Golden Knights thing. First season in Calgary, they finish first and they go to the championship final. Do they deserve to win it all in year 1?
It's tough to say you deserve to win it in year 1.
It's hard to top that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, had they won it, which they would have deserved it, but would it have been the best thing for the CEBL and pro basketball in this city? Probably not.
Probably not.
No. So yeah, we got to be good friends with Jason Ribeiro. He's a friend of the show, but it was the Scarborough Shooting Stars that beat Calgary 82-70, and I did watch it on TSN. To the Canadian Football League coming out of Week 11. And by the way, be watching the RP show all week long. We'll be doing our traditional Stampeders home week contest. We'll be giving a key word and asking our audience to write into the comments the key word for a chance to win tickets to this Friday night's game. Calgary and Winnipeg is the honor of the 1998 Stampeders. But before we look ahead, we have to look back. Sunday in the CFL, quarterback Chad Kelly threw for 4 touchdowns and more than 400 yards as the Argos outgunned the Ottawa Redblacks 44-31. Kelly went 21-28. Tavares Daniels had 3 touchdowns. And they improved to 7-1. The Redblacks slipped to 3-6. We'll get to all the other Week 10 games in a moment, but that seemed like a slugfest, like a haymaker heavyweight bout.
That's a great way to put it. They stood in the center of the ring and just threw haymakers the whole game.
Really
it was
enjoyed
back
it.
and forth.
Really enjoyed it. Did you think that Ottawa was going to pull it out at any time?
Not really. I had Toronto to win. Kelly is just so darn good. I hate to say it. I think they're the team to beat.
This is great. For the people that, and we're going to get to the NFL in a second. I love the broadcast people that are watching the show and text in with their tips. You just sit there and watch. We'll handle it from this end. Ryan in Toronto says, Kevin, the medium's looking good in the co-pilot seat. Here we go, Rod Squad. Happy Monday, gang. Yeah, the Moose is on vacation, and you more than capably are filling it in here.
Apparently, I'm auditioning.
Yeah, he's auditioning. And I didn't tell him that until once we got on the air. That's the fun way to go about things. By the way, our CFL coverage is brought to you by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. You can't really shake a stick without hitting a backup quarterback in the Canadian Football League right now as we enter Week 11. Yeah. And that's our poll question today. You don't even know that. Our poll question is brought to you by Key Yorkton Kia, and it's who's the best backup quarterback in the CFL right now? The Kia Seltos features a bold design, advanced technology, and adaptability, all in a subcompact SUV. Call Key Yorkton Kia at 306-783-2772 or go to keyyorktonkia.com for more information. The 23 Seltos, movement that inspires. So if you're following the CFL, and a lot of us are, you know that there's a lot of top quarterbacks down. So our options for backups, who's the best one of these 4? Drew Brown in Winnipeg, Mason Fine of Saskatchewan, Dane Evans of your BC Lions, or Dustin Crum of the Ottawa Redblacks. Who's the best out of all of those? Who are you going to call? Who are you voting?
I'm going to surprise you because I know who you think I'm going to answer. It's got to be Drew Brown. That kid lit it up on, was it Friday night?
Thursday night.
Definitely has to be in the running.
Well, he's leading with 46% of the poll vote. Drew Brown of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Dane Evans of the Lions has 32%. Dustin Crum of the Ottawa Redblacks, 15%. And Mason Fine of Sask, just 7%. But it was tough to limit it to 4. Just to look back at the weekend in the Canadian Football League over in Montreal, Caleb Evans, the backup for the Alouettes, led them to a 41-12 tub thumping of the Saskatchewan Roughriders at Percival Molson Stadium. I talked to Cody Fajardo after the game. Montreal's quarterback was a game-time decision, and Cody's like, he goes, I wanted to play, but the head coach wouldn't let me play. And he goes, but it feels good because they beat the Riders without him.
Did they say what was wrong with Cody?
They're saying a shoulder injury.
Oh, okay.
Let's just say upper body.
Upper body. It's
yeah,
a new
but
thing.
You could have put Caleb Evans in that poll. You could have put any one of the 3 Edmonton quarterbacks in that poll because I don't think they have a number 1 quarterback.
No.
But let's just consider this for a second. Drew Brown threw 4 touchdowns for Winnipeg when coming in against Edmonton. Your grandma could throw 4 touchdowns against the Edmonton Elks. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Is it Winnipeg's that good? Edmonton was that bad? If you really sit back and think about it, if you put any one of the other 3 guys in the poll on Winnipeg's team, did they go out and do the same thing that that Drew Brown did? Maybe,
but Drew Brown did it, so yeah, he gets my nod.
I'm just being devil's advocate.
I know what you're doing.
From Troy in Toronto, he says, I wish you could have seen how geeked up Jamie was to meet Moose last night. Big night for the small town kid from Shearwater, Nova Scotia. I'm glad that we could bring that all together. And trust me, I know, because he was writing me as well. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says the correct answer is the one that stays healthy. That's fair.
And this year, that's going to be big.
Some guy just dropping in our YouTube stream. He's got a Bills logo as his avatar, and he goes, has Edmonton even won a game yet? Thanks for checking, brah. No, they haven't. We'll let you know when they do. A great poll question is, will they win a game? Over half are saying they will not win a game this year. Camper in Winnipeg writes in, says, Rod, football is a team game. Brown steered the ship very well. Thank you. I'm aware of that. I'm realizing a lot of our audience are just figuring out or didn't know that I worked 20 seasons in the Canadian Football League. I'm aware of how you play. But we couldn't put 474 players on the poll.
Did you just pull that number from your app?
Point 4, because we got a lot of things to go over today, including Boston Bruins forward David Krejci retiring from hockey today. That was announced Monday morning. The 37-year-old Czech forward spent his entire 16-year career with the Bruins, playing a pivotal role in their 2011 Stanley Cup victory over who? Sorry. He played more than 1,000 regular season games and had 786 points. We're going to get to the NFL story next. We only have 2 minutes here. The story coming out of the weekend was Nathan Rourke of your BC Lions.
Yes.
Now of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even the NFL people are saying it was the play of the weekend. He was the highlight of USA Today's column that I read every Monday, saying, here's what you missed on the weekend. All you had to do was open your phone and you would have been inundated with highlights of what Nathan Rourke did with the Jacksonville Jaguars at Dallas on Saturday night. But I just want to mention this. Did you watch any of the tennis, the women in Montreal or the men in Toronto? No?
Not a drop.
Well, there's a lot going on right now, so it's fine. You probably didn't hear this then. National Open, women's semifinal on Saturday. Right in the middle of the game, somebody blared music accidentally. They hit the music switch, and Cotton Eye Joe came on.
Ooh.
And Pagula, the young girl from Buffalo that ended up winning the whole thing, she stopped, and she was like, ah. And they had to apologize to her. Oh, so sorry, the music played. Distracted her. And I just wonder if that's right. Because you look at golfers, and Tiger loses his mind if somebody says anything on the tee box as he's lining up his drive, or a putt, or what have you. And I think that's a little unfair, because have you ever seen a kicker lining up a game-winning field goal, or somebody a free throw, and they're waving those wiggly things like they have in the pool, those worms?
Yes. Yep.
Is it right that tennis players and golf players want complete silence to perform their craft, and people are saying it's a team sport, Rod, it's not like football and basketball. It's individual when you're on the free throw line, or as your buddy Paul McCallum told me once, when you're lining up a field goal from the 45-yard line, those uprights look like a postage stamp. But no, you got 55,000 people screaming at you. I think the tennis and golf people overplay that.
I think they're spoiled. I think they're the elite athletes, and they demand silence. I would love to see golfers and tennis players trying to play through 50,000 people screaming at them as they're getting up to do.
Just for one day, it would be funny.
I would watch it.
You might actually watch it if the fans could say anything. Waste Management Open in Phoenix. Okay, everybody, on the one day, let's get you all liquored up, and you can say whatever you want. Hand out noisemakers at the door.
Yeah, come on.
I think at this point in time, it's unfair that golfers and tennis players think they should have complete silence to perform their craft, and I want to invite our audience participation on that. You agree with me, obviously.
I don't play golf on a regular basis. I go out and I'll play once every 10 years for a charity tournament. I will yell at whoever I'm playing with as they're getting ready to putt. I tackled a guy once. Wrong sport, apparently.
That's like comparing the beer league that plays at Winsport at midnight on a Tuesday to what the Flames are, it's not the same.
But it makes it more fun. You got to admit.
We'll continue this in a moment. On the way, Darrin Bauming and Jim Lang. We're live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, WQEE Radio, and your favorite podcast platform.
They're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Back live at Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. We did have big fun at the Ralph Klein Memorial on the weekend. Kevin the Medium's with me. Moose is on holidays. Great work by producer Clark shifting people around. A little later on this hour, Darrin Bauming will join us. He covers the Blue Bombers for Bonfire Sports, but also the Jets for NHL.com. The Bombers are in here, Calgary, Friday night, so we'll be talking more about that with Bomber just one segment later than planned. And Jim Lang will join us in hour two for the extended segment. He is Canada's foremost expert on the National Football League. And before we get back into the NFL talk, and I'll just say this to our audience right now, what coming out of the weekend stuck with you for the National Football League? It's obviously, for us, Nathan Rourke. And it's interesting with USA Today. I'm reading their update, Kev, as I said this morning, just to get ready for the show. And the football guys said to me, because I was talking to them in Florida over the weekend, they're like, you don't need to cover, study all the NFL preseason. Nobody's playing. It's just a practice. It's dumb. And then Nathan Rourke goes out and pretty much lights it up. 9 of 17 isn't the greatest, but 153 yards, a passing touchdown. Everybody's talking about that. They're saying that still probably won't be enough to make him QB2 behind Trevor Lawrence because C.J. Beathard will have that sewn up. He was 6 for 13 for 80 yards. I don't know. What do you got to do? Can't do any more than what he did.
No, I mean, anybody that was shocked that Nathan did as well as he did hasn't been paying attention to Rourke's story because he's a superstar. No matter where he plays, he's going to do that.
Yeah, well, the other part of that is there weren't any real big names playing, but it was funny because they said in the USA Today article today, you will never have heard of Nathan Rourke unless you're a fan of the MAC conference in Ohio or a CFL fan. And it's like, again, I said 474 players. There's even more playing in the NFL preseason right now. Who could be on top of who all these players are?
Well, you can't.
So you have a rooting interest. I think that's why a lot of Americans watch. Our rooting interest was Nathan Rourke. We all wanted to know how he was going to do.
Of course, yes.
But the Jags won 28-23, and that didn't really, that didn't matter either. Ryan in New York writes in, he says, I'm going to be as objective as I possibly can, but one takeaway from the NFL preseason this weekend, the defensive line of the Jets is going to be a problem for opposing teams. Well, I do know they won 27-0 over the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah, I'm not an idiot. I do stay at the Holiday Inn Express sometimes. Like, I'm not that big of an idiot. I follow what was going on. And I feel bad for my guy, Bryce Young, the former Alabama quarterback, because was it not Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville? Nobody was sacked or hit more than Trevor Lawrence in his rookie year with the Jaguars. Same thing's going to happen with Bryce Young. Now, just to get back on point for a second, Glenn in Medicine Hat, and I want to see you down here at Century Downs, Glenn, before we leave in a couple weeks. He says, Caleb Evans of Montreal performance against the Saskatchewan Roughriders Friday night reminded me of the game in Vancouver when Jonathan Jennings lit up the Riders. Some backups just love playing the green and white. Do you remember that game?
I read that on the break, and I'm like, I remember that game. That was when Jennings came into his own and showed he's a starter.
Okay, so thank you, Glenn, for the reminder. I broadcast that game, and I'll never forget. Jonathan Jennings started his CFL career as a Saskatchewan Roughrider. We were all flying down to Florida. We had a connecting flight in Detroit. He came up, stuck his hand out, said, I'm Jonathan Jennings. I'm coming to your camp. I was wearing a Rider jacket. He's just a mature, classy young man.
Nice.
But he didn't do much with us, didn't really get a chance, signs with BC, and that night at BC Place Stadium, you weren't there, obviously. He threw 4 touchdowns and caught a 5th. I don't think that's ever happened before in the Canadian Football League.
That would be one to look up.
And the next morning, I'll never forget getting up, grabbing the Vancouver Province newspaper, and Ed Willis, columnist in the Vancouver Province, whom I love, just a great dude. He goes, similar to Bruce Springsteen's inaugural concert at MSG in 1973, I've seen the future. Whatever it was, I'm paraphrasing. But he's like, Jonathan Jennings is the future of the BC Lions. Shortly thereafter that game, we forgot all about who Jonathan Jennings was. So that's kind of what Glenn's saying. He lit up the Riders, but that was no indication of maybe what his future would be. And I'm sorry, Ed, to throw you under the bus, as Karen says, but it was not the future. He was not the future. And people are saying, why do you not have Caleb Evans in here of Montreal in your poll? Well, there are only 4 spots, and the guy's only started 1 game for Montreal.
Yeah.
Like, we did put a little thought into this. But I got to say, Saturday night, Calgary Stampeders getting throttled at BC 37-9. We haven't spent a lot of time on that game yet. And while I was flitting around, hosting people at the party, trying to keep everybody happy, and you know what happens when you do that?
Nobody's
happy. I just say I can't sit with you for the whole game. Can I put that disclaimer up? I can sit with you for some of the game, but I can't sit with you for the whole game. That includes you.
You hurt my feelings.
The mascot roams from table to table, Ralph the dog, but I can't.
That was your job. You had to go roam from table to table.
So the point was, I didn't see all of the game, but what I saw, Calgary didn't play very good. And they were dropping passes. They were missing tackles. And when they do that, that's not an indication that they're a bad team. They just weren't into it. Or do you think BC just spanked them?
BC just spanked them. And I get I don't know if you saw my facial expression when you say Calgary didn't play that good. BC made Calgary look bad. It was simple. Calgary's not a good team this year. I go to every single home game. I watch every game on TV. They're not a good team this year. Mares just doesn't have what it takes. Receivers are dropping balls. But BC definitely played well.
Just to have a little fun with everything here. More fun, because we're already having fun. Allie from Texarkana writes in. She says, Rod, you just shouldn't be so popular. She goes, happy Monday. Well, here's the one thing. She's a big fan of Serena, who was at the party. And I'll try to get to as many of your comments as I can. But she goes, I don't understand, Kevin. He's a Lions fan wearing a Lions jersey, but then the rest of the year he wears a Stampeders jersey and he's a season ticket holder. I said, it's a Calgary thing.
It is.
And in a way, a Phoenix thing. Like there's Coyotes fans that go to Coyotes games every game, but when their team comes to town, they wear their team's jersey. Same thing in Florida. That's a long-time Calgary thing, and you've lived here long enough to know.
Well, I've been here 20 years now, so Calgary's my second team, without a doubt.
And you don't feel bad about it, nor should you feel bad about it.
No, I wear my red every game except when BC comes into town.
So that's simple as that. He lives here, and you want to back the CFL, so you have season tickets, but your team's the BC Lions. It makes perfect sense to me. And as I told her, I'm still reeling with the realization that her third favorite team's the Toronto Maple Leafs. We should have discussed this.
That should have been like a discussion prior.
Clark likes it. Yeah, she didn't fill that out on her application.
Did you make her audition?
No, she didn't have to. Scott Ford, watching in Toronto, says, can you ask Jim Lang if he still believes in give me CFL or give me death? He did Argos play-by-play way back in the day. Yeah, that's where Jim and I got to be real good friends. He'll be on here in hour 2, but he'll be talking about the National Football League. Kevin in Calgary. Kevin, why don't you come down here to Century Downs? We got Ted coming down from Red Deer later this week. I want to meet everybody. Kevin says, I was at the game. I've never seen the Stampeders look so disconnected. Lions outplay called them. Meanwhile, okay, now it's getting a little crazy here. Jody in Toronto says, Swag Kelly, Argos. You got Toronto fans who are very excited about their team. Stamps fans and Rider fans very upset about theirs. Must be getting close to Labor Day.
It's when it all starts.
Yeah. The feed is a little behind. Glenn Erickson writing in from Medicine Hat says, yes, Jennings even caught a touchdown pass in that game against the Rider. Like I said, he threw 4 and caught 1. One of the single greatest performances ever by a quarterback in the CFL, but he never stuck. Well, later on this week, I think we've covered all the CFL games here, right? I haven't, from last week, I haven't looked too far ahead to this week, other than to say Friday night here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, the Stampeders will be honoring the 1998 Grey Cup champion team when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers come to town. Jeff Garcia is going to be here. Wally Buono is going to be here. They're all going to be here, and we're going to be handing out tickets, having a contest Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, running a contest for a couple pairs of tickets so you can go to the game and watch the Stamps and the Blue Bombers. But what I'm probably the most excited about all week, Calgary Flames new head coach Ryan Huska is going to be joining us down here at Century Downs. And if you can believe, he said he's actually looking forward to it.
Of course he is.
So if you want to come down here, folks, if you're in the Calgary area and you want to meet Ryan, I know that he would be fine with that. As I've talked with the Flames, they don't have a problem selling tickets. I was on a podcast last night and somebody said to me, how do you feel about all these empty seats across the CFL? I said, I don't want to talk about it because it's not my job. I'm not the marketing person for the CFL, but just don't tell me it's the economy when this Saddledome's bursting at the seams. Rogers Center packed all weekend for the Blue Jays and Jose Bautista night. Don't say it's the economy because it's not. Why they're not going to the games, I don't know, but that ain't my job. But for Ryan Huska to come here, you've lived here, what, 20 years, you said?
Yeah.
Is there a bigger figure in sports in Calgary than the head coach of the Flames? No matter who it is,
no.
Is there a bigger one?
No. Especially when it's a new coach, not a bigger name. So super excited to actually meet him and hear the conversation.
I'm very excited about it. And Ryan was on Team Canada 2012 World Juniors, and I called the games on the Sportsnet Radio Network. And it's funny because somebody said to me on the weekend, you put in your column that you were with Team Canada, but you were just the radio guy. You weren't with the team. I said, I don't know what you'd call it. The trainer came out of the dressing room, tossed me a tracksuit, Team Canada Nike tracksuit. He said, you're one of us, put it on. That's how Hockey Canada roll.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking some great Memorial Cup stories and NHL stories and World Junior stories with Ryan Huska Wednesday. And just so you know, he'll be here at 10:20 a.m. Mountain, if you want to set your PVRs if you're not able to watch. But also coming down this week, Ben Hebert from Team Botcher, Olympic gold medal curling champion. Benny Hebert's going to be here. Cami Kepke from Global Television and Calgary Surge CEBL coverage, and a few more special guests as the week goes along. But it's headlined by, indeed, Ryan Huska. I should mention the EMJ marketing text line is open. So if you have any questions or comments as we roll along through the program, 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us right here at Century Downs Studio. That's the EMJ Marketing text line. EMJ Marketing provides the right keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com today. We'll be back with a sports update, a little more audience takeover, more with Kevin the Medium, and Darrin Bauming coming up in hour one from NHL.com Winnipeg and Bonfire Sports. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're live at Century Downs Racetrack and Casino, and as I mentioned a couple times this segment, be watching later on this week. Our contest will continue for tickets to the Stampeders and the Blue Bombers on Friday night. How you can win tickets courtesy Century Downs and the Stamps. By the way, before we bring Kevin the Medium back in, and this is a short segment because Darrin Bauming will be coming in next from Winnipeg. Let me know, please, Clark, when he's ready. News from this Monday morning. Boston Bruins forward David Krejci is retiring from hockey. The 37-year-old Czech forward spent his entire 16-year NHL career with the Bruins, playing a pivotal role in their 2011 Stanley Cup victory. He played more than 1,000 games and had 786 points, all with the Bruins. Cue the rebuild in Boston. The Toronto Blue Jays have the day off after dropping 2 of 3 games to the Chicago Cubs at Rogers Center. The Jays salvaged the series Sunday with an 11-4 win. Dalton Varsho powered the Toronto attack with a home run and 5 RBIs. The Jays have the American League's 3rd wild card spot, holding a 1.5 lead over Seattle. They'll kick off a 2-game series with the visiting Phillies on Tuesday. And Calgary's Stephen Ames clinched victory at the PGA Tour Champions Boeing Classic Sunday with a final round of 63. Sports update is for Landmark Cinemas. In theaters now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And now might be a good time to invite you to enter our contest for a movie night out at Landmark Cinemas for movie lovers only. All you have to do is text MOVIES to 902-518-3033 to be entered. Winners are picked every Friday to enjoy a movie night out this weekend. And text in what movie you'd like to see. That'll help your chances of winning. Okay, Kevin the Medium is with us for a little while longer here in Hour 1. He'll return for more in Hour 2. I should tell you that the text line is open, 902-518-3033. Okay, well, hey, they want to talk some CFL today, and it's summer. There's nothing going on in hockey, and the NFL games are meaningless right now. So are you okay with talking more CFL?
I'm always okay talking more CFL.
2 texts. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in and says, "Hi, Rod and Kevin. Will Buck Pierce be the next head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders? A. And B, Brian in Hudson Bay, the Moose capital, writes in, he says, as a Rider fan, the bright side is there are only 9 more games before we see some positive change. The team is in shambles." So I was on this podcast last night, and the hosts were asking me who I thought would be the next coach and GM of the Rough Riders, and I said, I don't really like talking about that while somebody has the job. Not to mention the fact that Craig Dickinson's my friend. I just don't feel good about it. And Chris Jones up in Edmonton is a real good friend of mine. How do you, I guess fans like to talk about it, but I don't.
Well, it's hard on you because they are your friends. You've made a lot of friends over the 20-plus years you've been involved in this league. For a fan like myself, it's easy for me to say, fire Jones, fire Dickinson.
You ever been fired?
Yes, once.
Doesn't feel very good.
It sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very good.
It sucks. But as we talked about, coaches are hired to be fired. It's very rarely does a coach just walk away.
Well, so Wilf, to play along last night on that podcast, which incidentally was the Rider Nation podcast, hosted by a couple guys out of Calgary, but they were throwing out names as to who was going to be the next coach and GM of the Rough Riders. So they think, and president, so they think that the firings are all imminent. But I said one, and I don't know how much you follow university football at all, Kevin, but I said Scott Flory. If you're making me name a name, I'll say Scott Flory, the head coach and general manager of the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. Coached his program to back-to-back Vanier Cup appearances just within the last couple of years because my best friend's kid was their quarterback. He's a Regina guy, a Canadian Football Hall of Famer, and I'll tell you something about that market 2 hour east. If there's a local guy coaching, They'll give you a little more time.
Do they? Will they actually give them more time than they have?
Not unlimited time.
Yeah.
But a little more time than if you're not from there.
See, and that would make sense to me, is bring in a local guy who has some success even at a university level. Bring him in. They've got to make changes somewhere.
Brian, watching in Edmonton area, says, I'm all caught up after 6 hours straight listening to the RP show from Northwest Alberta to Waterton National Park.
Oh.
He said 35 plus degrees down here today. Great job with the cameras, Jordan, and with the Cam Moon interview. How about that? He's all caught up.
How about that?
I'll say this weather here right now is, I told you walking into Century Downs this morning, is my perfect condition.
I love this. 30, 31, perfect.
To our U.S. viewers, I'm calling up my weather app right now. I'm going to have to switch it over because I said I was never going to go to Fahrenheit. Hold me to that, Kev, for as long as you know me.
It's about 90-ish, isn't it? Double it.
Here right now, it's 77 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, is that all?
But it will get to that.
Oh, okay.
Later on today. It's 93 in Boca Raton, Florida. Home for me. It's currently 24 degrees, but it's going to get up into the 30s.
Yeah.
I think 88, Serena was saying, was the forecast here today. It's my favorite because it's dry heat. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not like Florida. So, yeah, I'm glad that you're enjoying the program. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, yeah, Scott Flory is an interesting coach. I know him very well. He's the exact same age as me. I'm come through the CFL at the same time, left around the same time. And thank you, Clark, I got your note. So that's just something I'm throwing out there. We'll kick this around more in hour 2. Kevin will turn your light on. Yeah. So collect your thoughts, and we'll be going to Winnipeg when we come back, everybody, which is now our number 3 city for viewership behind Regina and Ottawa. So think about that over the next 4 minutes, and we'll be right back to Century Downs Racetrack and Casino after this timeout on Game Plus TV. WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, so we're live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. I thought we had Darrin Bauming live and have just been informed we do not, so bear with me, everybody. I have a lot of questions for him, but we got a lot of time left here in hour one, so if you've got questions for Darrin Bauming of Bonfire Sports, Winnipeg, and NHL.com, Winnipeg Jets coverage, please let me know. I wasn't prepared for this, so just give me a second. The poll question is, who is the best backup quarterback in the Canadian Football League right now? And your options for Yorkton Kia are Drew Brown of the Blue Bombers, Mason Fine of the Rough Riders, Dane Evans of the BC Lions, and Dustin Crum of the Ottawa Red Blacks. And leading the way is Drew Brown of the Bombers. And actually, Darrin Bauming is football first, so let's put that to him. You just heard the options. Best backup in the CFL: Drew Brown, Mason Fine, Dane Evans, Dustin Crum. Is Brown as good as he showed in Edmonton the other night, Bomber, or is it because he was playing for the Winnipeg Blue Bomber machine?
Yeah, or was it because he was playing against Edmonton, right? I think, and I've been saying this for a year, Drew Brown will be a starter in the Canadian Football League sooner or later. He has shown it every time he has stepped on the field. He has helped the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in games past win football games. There was an instance early last year where Zach Collaros went down to injury, needed to sit out 3 plays, as per CFL rules, and Drew Brown came in and they kept him in. And he led them to a touchdown drive that capped a win. So he is incredibly poised. He is incredibly talented. I'm told he is incredibly smart. And I think, this was just the latest example of Drew Brown showing what he can do when, he has an offense at the controls.
What was the Bombers' take on the hit on Zach Collaros, and how is he? B, did you ever think they were going to lose that game in Edmonton, and the upset of the century, what happened? And 3, what's the outlook looking ahead to Week 11?
Did I ever think they were going to lose? No, because I know that the resilience of this Mike O'Shea coached Blue Bombers team is very strong. Mike O'Shea said as much, in his post-game interview on the host radio broadcaster here in Winnipeg, that the bench was calm. The bench was very workmanlike energy, were the words Mike O'Shea used after that win. And, it is the Edmonton Elks. I've seen what everybody else has seen and watched all their games this year. They are not a sound football team. They are flawed in a lot of different ways. Are they getting better? Maybe. Maybe a little bit more Trey Ford will help. But overall, I think, the strength of Winnipeg and the weaknesses of the Edmonton Elks, I don't think that game was ever in doubt. As far as Zach Collaros, he is on the field here. This is day 1 of practice at IG Field ahead of the game in Calgary on Friday. But he is not dressed. He is not participating. He is in casual fatigues, blue ball cap and sneakers, and Drew Brown running the Blue Bombers' first team offense. It is day 1. We will see practice on Tuesday. There will be a closed practice on Wednesday, walkthrough Thursday, of course, ahead of Friday's game. So still lots to be determined. The hit to answer your third question on Zach Collaros, no, I don't think the team liked it. Mike O'Shea challenged the call, right? And it was ultimately upheld. I believe it was late. I believe it was unnecessary. I also don't think it was egregious. I don't think it was malicious. I think Coney Ely did what he could to slow himself down. But the fact of the matter is the quarterback was horizontal, whether he's holding himself up off the ground or not, he is horizontal and effectively going to be down. I don't think Coney Ely needed to make that much contact with a player that was going to be down. I know it's a bang-bang play. It's football, right? I understand those are really tough adjustments to make in the moment, but I do think it should have been a penalty. I don't know if there'll be supplemental discipline. I don't think so at this point, but no doubt the Blue Bombers did not like the hit, and they're going to hope Zach Collaros is okay long-term here with half the season to go.
Darrin, you've covered this team a long time. What does this mean that Zach is in sweatpants today? Is it precautionary, or does it mean he won't play Friday night?
Well, I tweeted it at the moment when they ruled Zach Collaros out. I think it was a good sign that he was on the sidelines, and precautionary at best, right? That's what you can hope for, that it is precautionary and that it's not due to something more serious. Is today precautionary? Maybe. Is it cloak and dagger? I wouldn't put it past, this football club, because they've shown that before, that they can, be deceptive in what they show during the practice week, during their open practices. If the story was a little bit different, they would say, hey, Adam Bighill doesn't need to practice. He's a veteran. Willie Jefferson, he's a veteran. He doesn't need to practice. Zach Collaros, he's been there before. He's been there, done that. He doesn't need to practice. So is this precautionary? Possibly, but as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers always do, they're remaining very tight-lipped on the situation, and we're going to get a first opportunity to talk to head coach Mike O'Shea, who will be the one and the only individual who will speak to the status of Zach Collaros. So we'll find out later today.
We have less than 2 minutes, so please, a Winnipeg Jets update or outlook for the season. It's not too far away, Darrin, as you know.
Yeah, it is creeping. It is creeping up. I really don't know if much has changed over the last month. I think it's a very positive move they made in trading Pierre-Luc Dubois. I think the return that they got, some good young players, being able to sign those players to contracts is all a positive thing. The big elephant in the room is their Vezina winning goaltender from 2 years ago or 3 years ago in Connor Hellebuck, and entering the final year of his contract. That's a big, big thing, a piece of business that needs to be handled. If Connor Hellebuck doesn't want to sign in Winnipeg, is there a sign and trade? Is there a trade situation? We'll have to see. But indications have led many to believe that a long-term deal in Winnipeg is probably not in the cards. But then you have to find a team that is willing to pay $9.5 million, somewhere in that range, which is a big chunk of the salary cap. I couldn't even tell you if it's going up or down this year. I think it's going up a little bit, but that's a big chunk of cash to commit to one player long term. But there will be a team that feels they are a goaltender away from a Stanley Cup, so that could be a possibility. Kevin Cheveldayoff's got his work cut out for him.
Always does. Darrin, wonderful update. Thanks for sliding us in, man. Enjoy the week.
Okay, you got it, Rod. Have a great week.
Darrin Bauming from Winnipeg, live from IG Field. Get your NFL questions ready. Jim Lang's coming up in hour 2. We'll be back after this brief pause in Game Plus and Key Radio.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Let's just imagine that Steve Armitage is hosting the broadcast tonight. How would that go, Mike?
Oh, thanks, Mark. It's going to be a great series as the Calgary Flames, a fabulous city, up against Edmonton. Edmonton! Germs, disease, sweatpants with good shoes.
Don't bring the hate on Rod. This is all on this end, folks. Be mad at this guy.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's hilarious that we would open a brand new week with that sound bit there from Mike Richards just ripping on Edmonton. And the story on that, by the way, as we broadcast live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino in Calgary, is that was just ahead of the NHL bubble being announced for Edmonton. Remember that in 2020? Yeah, 2020. So he's ripping Edmonton. The Oilers somehow thought it was me ripping Edmonton. I got a call right after the show. As we can bring in Kevin the Medium here. He's co-hosting because Moose is not with us. He's on vacation for the week, so Kevin's going to be dropping in and out throughout the week. The Oilers literally called me and said, we heard you say all these horrible things about Edmonton and the city of Edmonton and the Oilers. I'm like, it wasn't me. It was Mike Richards. You guys should be used to that by now. Like, holy smokes. Check your sources. I don't think they ever got over that either. Hi. How you liking us so far?
That doesn't surprise me that they would think it was you.
Well, it is the Rod Pedersen Show, but it wasn't me. So I had to make that clear.
Your guests are allowed to have an opinion, aren't they?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they are. Co-hosts, you mean, or the callers, or the whom?
No. I said
like
yes.
Mike, the fact that he doesn't like Edmonton? That's fine. But that's not me. People need to get that through their heads.
We love Edmonton.
I do. I absolutely love it. There was one person that works here at Century Downs that was saying, they said our Edmonton counterpart, it's awesome because they're south of the city, so you don't have to actually go into Edmonton. It's a Calgary-Edmonton thing.
It really is.
A daily thing.
20 years I've been here, and I still don't get and it's not a rivalry.
It's a hatred.
It's a literal hatred of each other. It's funny.
It's funny, and I enjoy it too. We'll be here to the end of the month, and we're loving it at Century Downs Racetrack and Casino, where we had big fun on the weekend. And for those that are watching on Game Plus TV or streaming over Kevin's shoulder, you'll see the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association World Finals are here August 23rd to the 27th, and you can get your tickets now at showpass.com. I said to Kev in the break, and I was running to the bathroom, I said, that's the fastest hour, I think, ever. So what I want to do here, Kev, bless you. Are you coughing or sneezing?
Coughing.
Are you okay? I want to just slow it down a little bit here. What's happened on this Monday is David Krejci has retired from the Boston Bruins, and I can't believe it. Are you going to be okay?
I'm good.
17 years with the Boston Bruins, and Krejci has pulled the pin today. This just a couple weeks after Patrice Bergeron did the same thing. With Taylor Hall out of there, a good poll question would be, is it rebuild time in Boston? I think that it is. But we're not the Boston Bruins show. Speaking of Edmonton, two very good friends of mine today announcing the return of all sports radio in Edmonton. It's 1440 a.m., and I'm not even sure the name of the radio station, but Kevin Carius, who was the MC of my first wedding, he's going to do the morning show. I didn't tell you that. I said he's a good friend of mine, but yeah. We couldn't find him. We were ready to start the reception. We couldn't find him. He was in the bar.
Why doesn't that surprise me?
And Jason Gregor, both of them, the anchor shows of this all-sports radio station in Edmonton, that came down today, so that's exciting. What else? A lot of CFL talk today. I feel like this is where the Canadian Football League fans come to talk, right here, the RP show every day, coming out of Week 11. Now would be a good time to just jump into our poll question. It is for our friends at Key Yorkton Kia. The poll question is, who was the best backup in the Canadian Football League as we enter Week 11? The best backup quarterback. Is it Winnipeg's Drew Brown, Saskatchewan's Mason Fine, BC's Dane Evans, or Ottawa's Dustin Crum? And leading the way is Winnipeg's Drew Brown. But I'll tell you something about Key Yorkton Kia. The all-new Sportage reimagines innovation in motion. An urban SUV design with all the comforts for your next adventure. Order yours today at keyyorktonkia.com or by calling 306-783-2772. The 2023 Kia Sportage, movement that inspired. So back with Kevin the Medium. I voted for, I can't even remember because it's a tough question. I believe Drew Brown of Winnipeg's who I voted for.
Same.
Yeah. And he threw 4 touchdowns in a relief role for the Bombers last week. But again, it was at Edmonton. Darrin Bauming was with us last hour. You were listening to that update from Bomber. Zach Collaros not participating in day 1 of the practice week for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers after being injured and knocked out of the game last week in Edmonton. That's why Drew Brown had to come in. And the question is it because he was surrounded by great players? Was it because he was playing Edmonton that he looked so good? And Bauming's like, no, he's that good.
He's that good. You could tell. I mean, yeah, he was playing Edmonton, and like you say, my grandma could probably throw for 5 touchdowns against that team right now. But he did look good.
Well, and I put a lot of stock in Danny McManus. See, it's weird. You could set my watch to it. By 6 minutes into hour 2, my mind goes full squirrel. It's going in 18. Yours too, apparently. Because I'm thinking talent, Winnipeg, Danny McManus. He's the reason. He's the next great GM. Is he going to be the GM in Edmonton? Or is he going to be the GM in Saskatchewan?
Wow.
That's where my mind went.
I hate to get inside your mind. I think I would go squirrely if I could.
Does your not go that way?
No, I don't think most people do.
You should turn a light on in there.
No.
Okay.
Well, hold it.
Well, by the way, John in Edmonton writes in, he says, here it is, breaking news, announced Monday that a new all-sports radio station called Sports 1440 will be hitting the airwaves on September 5th in Edmonton on AM radio and the Stingray music app. So thank you, John in Edmonton. I've already talked to my guys there already, Gregor and Carey. They're all very excited, and I'm very excited for them. Arlen Bruce III, our good friend, writes in. He says, great morning, RP and Kevin the Medium. Congratulations to Wally Buono for being put on the BC Lions Wall of Fame. Well deserved. Gotta love Wally. And then he says the Calgary Stampeders look like they're struggling. And just another from John in Edmonton. He says, get the RP show on that new sports radio station in Edmonton.
I like it.
And there's something wrong. Oh, Jake Hughes. You know him? He writes in and says, 100% agree, Rod. That's how my brain works as well. So, yeah, I feel bad for us, Jake. So we were at the Calgary Stampeders watch party on Saturday night, and it turned into a wake, which is like a party after a funeral, right? And in the Irish tradition, that's kind of what it was. Calgary was never in that game.
Right from this opening kickoff to the final whistle, it was all BC. What was it? They allowed 3 field goals. Once again, BC defense comes up big and doesn't allow a touchdown to be scored. I think this is, Jake and I talk about it quite often, how this is probably the best defensive team we've seen the Lions have in a long time.
Statistically, they certainly are.
But going back to quarterbacks being hurt, Jake has a theory that it's because of no contact practices for the offensive line. Thoughts?
Oh, we've been talking about that for 2 weeks. We talked about that with Jeff Fairholm here. We talked about that with Jim Barker here. Listen, there's trends in sports, and we're kind of in the middle of one right now, both on the field and off. There's got to be a reason that these quarterbacks are getting hurt and going down to the degree they are. But it's more a CFL thing than an NFL thing. The NFL guys largely stay upright. So that's something the CFL's got to look into. To flip it to the NFL, and just thank you for the segue, squirrel moment. Next segment, Jim Lang will be joining us, Canada's foremost expert of the National Football League. So clearly, Kevin and I could sit here and pepper him with questions for the whole segment, but I'd love to get the audience participation as well. We're airing in a couple of NFL markets, particularly Atlanta, who did win at Miami the other night. And within a couple weeks' time, we'll be broadcasting from South Florida. So we're a big NFL show. We're not going to do that now. Jim Lang will get into it with us next segment. But I'm not even following the NFL preseason for the most part. And the football people gave me that pass, and they said, you don't really need to. These are meaningless, fake games. The big guns aren't playing. Having said that, if you didn't pay attention, you would have missed what Nathan Rourke did. And I get 18 million opinions in my head, so I can't remember what was yours. Were you the guy that wanted Nathan Rourke cut in Jacksonville and back in BC, or were you happy for him that he was going to Jacksonville?
I was ecstatic that he was getting a shot in the NFL. Obviously, that's where the money is, and that's why these kids, I call them kids, and I probably shouldn't, but they're kids to me.
Kids.
They're 50. I'm 58. They're kids. That they get a shot at making the big bucks. My question is, what is it going to take for Rourke to become QB2? Is it an act of God, or is it an injury?
He looked better. I'll just say this, because we'll save the NFL talk next segment. And I brought it up. It's my fault. But I've been around this game, sports, my whole life. Nathan Rourke's doing all he can do.
Yes.
That's all you got to ask.
He posted on Twitter, or X, whatever they want to call it now, he posted that play, it's going to be the famous play in preseason.
He posted it himself?
He did.
From his own Twitter?
Oh, yeah, he's been quite active on X or Twitter.
Oh, good for him.
And I commented on it, and I said, I hope you get an opportunity, because that's all you're going to need. Talent is going to take the care of the rest.
But that's the point. He did all that he could do. And the coaches will tell you the decisions make themselves. And you said yourself, in a past job or career, you fired many people.
Many.
But you never made the decision to fire them. They made it themselves.
I always said it.
Yeah.
I never fire anybody. They fire themselves.
Right. So, to that, we got a lot of questions coming in here, and I appreciate this, about the trade in the Canadian Football League on Sunday. I have a lot of thoughts on Antonio Pipkin coming over to the Saskatchewan Roughriders for the global punter. I was at a friend's for supper last night when I got that notification, and I thought, Antonio Pipkin. You don't have to be the biggest fan of the CFL to know that name. He's been around a long time.
Long time.
And he broke into the NFL with the Arizona Cardinals. I said he is this generation's Michael Bishop, whom we had in Saskatchewan in 2008, and it didn't end well. A lot of people writing in saying, who is this guy? Well, just go to Wikipedia or Google, tell you all you need. He's been in Hamilton, Toronto, Montreal, BC, and now Sask. Hear me out, and then I'll get your take. He's had a chance in all those places.
Yes.
And he didn't grab the brass ring and run with it in all those places. But that's not to say that he still can't. His agent is a really good friend of mine, Rob Fry, and Robbie would not represent a schlub. So he obviously thinks a lot of Antonio Pipkin.
I think we met Rob in Edmonton when we were there.
You did. You did. I knew him before. But he's coming from Hamilton, Pipkin, where they were going through quarterbacks like trading cards. So why would they want to get rid of him? This was clearly a need by Sask, and obviously Hamilton needed a punter. So yeah, the people are writing in saying, who is this guy? And in a way, I wonder, how do you not know who he is? He's been in the league for 5-6 years, in the NFL before that, but whatever. It was like when Cody Fajardo came to Sask, a lot of people, including those in my family, are like, who is this guy, Fajardo? I'm like, he's the guy that plunged into the end zone for short yardage to beat the Riders in the 2017 East Final for Toronto. How do you not know who these people are? Woo-sa. So Pipkin's there to be a stopgap for the Riders season.
Stopgap or, again, another opportunity. When you were talking about it, I flashed back to hockey, and you have a goalie that will play really well in front of one team, go to another team, and not play well. Why? Is it the format? Is it the way they play? I think Pipkin could be that fit in Saskatchewan they need. Got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Fine isn't doing it, obviously.
Yeah, well, what do they say? Be careful what you wish for. I mean, I was back in Saskatchewan, and to our U.S. viewers and listeners, of which those numbers show that we're growing a lot, Saskatchewan is, I was told by a good friend of mine in Miami who's a football guy, he was like, Sask is the Dallas Cowboys of the CFL. And I've mentioned that, and people are like, I'm like, well, it kind of is, but it's a little more the Kansas. If you watch Last Chance U, but the point is, it's all they have. It's all they talk about. It's all they care about.
Yes.
So for them, basically, this Glenn in Medicine Hat writes, and he says, I wonder what all the Jake Dolegala disciples think of the Rough Riders trading with Hamilton to get Antonio Pipkin. The reason he says that is all those people in Sask were clamoring for the backup quarterback, Jake Dolegala, to start, and that the Rough Riders coaches didn't know what they were doing. Well, he came into the game under emergency circumstances Friday night and didn't do a blinking thing. And his team ended up losing. So they had to go out and get a guy.
It's always the backup quarterback. Everybody wants the backup quarterback.
It's not just a Sask thing?
It's not just a Sask thing. I mean, when Bo was here in Calgary, I would hear it for every game we went to. They got to put Mayer in. They got to put Mayer in. They put him in, and what has he done? Jack Fulton, shout out to Jack. He had mentioned they need to play the third string quarterback for Calgary. They put him in. What did he do? The first throw he made in the CFL was an interception.
Max, watching on YouTube, says Pipkin showed some good stuff in Montreal. The team was a mess, however. So, hey, you got to give the Riders and the GM Jeremy O'Day credit for trying to salvage the season, because they're still in a playoff spot as it stands today.
Yes.
And Calgary ain't looking like any great shakes. As somebody said to me on that podcast yesterday, the Rider Nation podcast, they said, well, Sask is still mathematically in a playoff spot. I said, so's Edmonton. It's the CFL. Stop. It's a 9-team league.
The East could still cross over.
Yeah.
There's still that possibility for the first time in my memory, 50-plus years, that has it ever happened?
The East come the other way? No. It has never happened. We will be back with Jim Lang, Canada's foremost NFL expert. So get your NFL questions and comments in. We're live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio in Atlanta, podcast and YouTube Live.
up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We continue live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino. By the way, I appreciate the audience participation. The text line's rolling. We'll get to your questions and comments more in a moment. And I do want to mention, shout out Canadian Elite Basketball League. The Scarborough Shooting Stars won the Canadian Elite Basketball title on Sunday, beating the Calgary Surge 82-70 in Vancouver at the Langley Event Center. We're big CEBL fans and supporters. Hell of a game. Watched it on TSN. And for the Surge, it's not a Vegas Golden Knights type thing where the basketball gods weren't going to allow them to win in their first year. So they got something to shoot for next year. And news from Monday morning, David Krejci has announced his retirement after 17 seasons with the Boston Bruins. Let's bring him in now, Canada's foremost NFL expert, Jim Lang. And Jimbo, there's either a lot to talk about or not a lot to talk about. Coming out of this first full weekend of the National Football League preseason, which incidentally tonight, as you know, it's Ravens and Commanders. This preseason's changed from what it used to be. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of big guns out there on the field.
No, they often wait to week 2, Rod, because of just they're trying to manage the health of the team and the players and the starters. So the week 2 of the preseason where starters will see a lot of playing time, and then after that, they'll dial it down. Part of that is the math about cut down. Coming up Wednesday, they got to cut down from 85 to 80 players, and they cut down again. And by August 29th, they're going to cut down to 53 players. So there's a lot of decisions to be made about, I know you were talking earlier about Nathan Warwick and QB2, QB3, and where does Trey Lance fit in with the 49ers, with Brock Purdy? and Sam Darnold. So those kind of decisions are going to be made. So I know already Atlanta, you had mentioned Atlanta. Arthur Smith talked about playing starters against the Bengals in week 2, and that's going to be a big decisive factor for Arthur Smith and his coaching staff looking at the starters in week 2 against the Bengals about some of the decisions they make.
Well, you were probably pretty happy that the Raiders were on television. That's your team. I watched that on Sunday, but I'm like, this isn't even a game. They're wearing the Raiders and 49ers uniforms, but other than that, this is not real. That was my sense. It was sloppy, man. What did you take out of that game?
It's bound to be sloppy, Rod. I mean, unfortunately for the coaches and player personnel people, there's a lot of players that are going to be in that game that will never see the field in an NFL regular season game. And that's just the fact. And they have to give them a shot. And then when they do make cuts, they'll say, well, you played a quarter or a half or 3/4 of a game of an NFL preseason game. That was your chance. And that's part of the issue for all teams in the NFL is they have scouts that go around to all the respective training camps because they know that if I'm a Buffalo Bills scout, I can go to the Dallas Cowboys and know that they're going to cut a couple players that we should keep an eye out for. There's just no way. You can't keep that many players. It's a 53-man roster, and you've got 90 players in camp. So there's a lot of bodies going to be cut, a lot of bodies, a lot of questions to deal with. And part of the reason they keep so many players in camp is to preserve the starters, to make sure there's not those Achilles tendon or blown knees or ripped shoulders in training camp in the preseason game. So they're trying to keep the starters and the stars of the league as healthy as possible for week 1 in the NFL. It's always a challenge, and it's been a challenge for years in the NFL, is that balance between preparation, contact and practice, contact, live action at a preseason game, but trying to keep the stars healthy for week 1 of the NFL.
So, well, I'm going to read a comment here from Dan in Saskatoon. He writes in on the EMJ Marketing text line. He says, morning, guys. The fact that NFL teams can and will start carrying 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster changes the QB landscape in that league and the CFL and all other pro leagues. If Jacksonville doesn't sign a new quarterback by Thursday, that shows Rourke did enough to claim QB3 and a spot on the 53-man roster. Is it just us Canadians that are raving about what Nathan Rourke did against Dallas on Saturday? Seems like all of the NFL is.
Oh, no. When Patrick Mahomes tweets about it specifically, an hour after the game, it tells you how special it was. And I'm going to read the quote directly from Doug Pedersen after the game. I haven't seen too many plays like that, even in a preseason game. Hats off to him. He did a nice job leading that group in the second half and was able to put us in the end zone. So you're talking about QB3, but if he keeps making plays like that and keep making plays in practice and in training camp, he could be elevated to QB2. Don't forget Doug Pedersen's whole resume in the NFL is grooming quarterbacks. He won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia because he had a star in Carson Wentz and spent time grooming Nick Foles as a backup. And when they needed him, Nick Foles stepped up and led them to a Super Bowl. He likes extra quarterbacks. He likes to groom quarterbacks. And for Nathan Rourke, it's the perfect time to be in the NFL because of that change in the 3rd quarterback rule. I mean, it couldn't be better for him. So whether he's 3 or 2 at the start of the season, with a game like that and a highlight like that, he's the darling of the week 1 of the NFL preseason. That's all anyone's talking about is that play. It's been broken down in slow motion. How did he do it? Patrick Mahomes is tweeting about it. That can't do anything but help Nathan Rourke going forward for the Jacksonville Jaguars in their training camp.
So what else were your takeaways from the weekend before we look forward?
Some of my notes, I really, I thought Jordan Love is beginning to take that steps as the QB1 for the Green Bay Packers. This is a learning season. I think he's going to be where Justin Fields was last year. I look at what Justin Fields and DJ Moore and the Bears are doing, and they're just a notch above what the Packers are going to be, but it's going to be impressive. I mean, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're still the class of the NFL. They're still the team to beat. They're just a machine. And yeah, it's tough to evaluate too much, but one name people should keep an eye on is Malik Cunningham, and he was a really athletic star quarterback out of the NCAA in Louisville. He was signed as an undrafted free agent by Bill Belichick and the Patriots. He played both wide receiver in the first half, then quarterback in the second half for the Patriots in their preseason game against the Houston Texans. So don't forget, Julian Edelman was a quarterback coming out of the NCAA before he was transitioned to receiver by Bill Belichick. But they got this kid who put up some really good numbers in Louisville, and a lot of people are surprised to see he was not drafted as an undrafted free agent, meaning they got him at a good price point. And Bill Belichick might have another surprise weapon to work with. And he's always been able to identify talent, and that's a name to watch for the next few weeks in preseason and training camp is Malik Cunningham of the Patriots.
Well, Jeff in Winnipeg has a question and says, can you ask Jim who does he think of the rookie quarterbacks look the most ready to lead his team on offense?
Can I say none of the above? I mean, they all look a little rough. It was. I mean, they go from OTAs and mini camp to training camp to a preseason game, and it's not. Look, it's playing live action in the NFL is not the NCAA. I remember going to the first couple days of training camp with Tim Tebow. He was drafted by the Denver Broncos. Don't forget, coming out of college, he was considered one of the great college quarterbacks ever coming out of Florida, right? I mean, like college football Hall of Fame type quarterback. And he gets the Broncos training camp, and the safeties are eating him up. They're baiting him, and they're picking him off left, right, and center. And all of a sudden, you have to realize that an NFL caliber free safety and how they bait quarterbacks and how they can pick you off left, right, and center if you're not prepared. It's a big difference than playing against defensive backs in the NFL. So this is part of the learning curve. So none of the rookie quarterbacks to me really like, oh, wow, this is going to be a special player. It's going to take time.
Well, let me ask you this. I love reading all the scuttlebutt, but at the end, it's all just bunk. And what I mean by that is USA Today is largely my go-to, but then there's all the talk shows, which, as you know, in America, beyond ad nauseum, man. It's beyond buffet. But let me just get you to toss your opinion on what teams you think take a step forward this year and which ones might surprisingly take a step back that nobody sees coming.
I like the Saints and Derek Carr. I think they're going to be very interesting. Maybe Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers are going to be better than people think. I'm really high in the Jaguars. Having Calvin Ridley with Trevor Lawrence is going to be special. I'm kind of interested to see how the Steelers progress. I mean, that's one thing Mike Tomlin has. He's always had a winning season, and I think he's got some talent there and some pieces in place, especially if TJ Watt is healthy. What they are going to do. The Jets, of course, everyone's intrigued what Aaron Rodgers is, how they're going to play out. I'm not really high in the Rams, how they're going to play out. I think the 49ers are going to be much better than the Rams. I'm not crazy about the Cardinals. And I'm looking at the NFC North, and I'm really excited about the Bears and Lions, what Justin Fields and the Bears are going to do, and how the Lions are progressing under Dan Campbell and how they're becoming a team that's forgot about all their failures in the past and just concentrated on the present and the future. And I'm really excited about that as well.
Awesome rundown. Let me ask you this. In Miami, they're excited, and I'll be back there in a couple of weeks for the entire NFL season. And I'm just they think that 2 signings have made them Super Bowl legit contenders. Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, as you know, and then Jalen Ramsey, and now he's done for probably 12 weeks. Like, can the injury to Jalen Ramsey derail all their plans, do you think? Or can they find a way to cover until he's back?
I don't know if it derails all their plans, Rod. I mean, that seems a bit much. It's still a pretty solid team. Getting Vic Fangio is such a wily old veteran defensive coordinator helps, but I guess it's on Tua now. It's going to be on Tua in the offense until Jalen gets back. I really like what the Rams are doing, and I like, everything about how they're building the team. But, I mean, the Jets are going to be better with Aaron Rodgers. And the Bills are still the Bills. And the Patriots are the Patriots. It is a really tough division. So that's the problem, I think, if you're looking at it realistically with the Dolphins, is they can survive without Jalen Ramsey for 12 weeks. But how well will they survive? Because they're going to have some tough games against those division opponents. And all those division opponents and all those division games are just going to be brutal, whether you're home or on the road, because, I don't see a lot separating the Bills, Jets, and the Dolphins. They're all really good teams, and maybe it's the Bills a little bit over the Jets, a little bit over the Dolphins, or you can coin flip the Dolphins and the Jets. And with Bill Belichick running the Patriots, you never know where you're going to get. So I guess by about U.S. Thanksgiving, we'll have a better idea about the Dolphins, how they survived it. But if they can hang in there and be within shouting distance when he gets healthy, he could be a huge difference maker for the last 5 regular season games because of the kind of player he is.
I'd like to think the AFC East is the toughest division in the NFL, but I thought that last year about the AFC West, and I think you did too. And the Raiders, the Broncos. Which, speaking of the Broncos, I can't believe I haven't asked you about Sean Payton calling out his predecessor there, Nathaniel Hackett in Denver, and said it was the worst coaching job in the history of the NFL, what he's come in to clean up. People say that was calculated, and I think, why would you calculate that? What do you have to gain out of dumping on this guy?
I think what he has to gain, and I do think there was a little method to his madness, he's trying to rebuild the confidence of Russell Wilson. I mean, this whole Russ has got to cook and all the little sayings and the press conferences and then just falling on his face week after week eroded his confidence. I mean, he had such a great run in Seattle and fell completely on his face in Denver. And I think a whole part of that is deflecting from Russell so he can concentrate on getting back to the Russell Wilson that was in how well he played in Seattle. The guy was a Super Bowl champion and putting all the pressure on himself. I really think that was the method to his madness, Rod.
At the expense of Nathaniel Hackett, though. And those two teams will meet in week 5, right? Like, can you imagine the buildup for that?
The NFL loves it. The NFL loves it. This is great for the NFL. The networks love it. I mean, coaches bad-mouthing each other in the media, building the hype going in. They're going to relive the clips and the sound bites on Talk TV and Talk Radio. So it's great. But, I mean, if all they're talking about is Sean Payton in the clip and they're not talking about Russ, that's good for Russ.
Very good point. Very, very good point. Jim, thanks for switching gears with us. It gave us far more time. I appreciate this, and I can't wait to do it again soon.
And can I just say, Mike Morreale, I covered him when he played for the Ticats and Argos. He's done a fabulous job with the CEBL and how they've come. And so I don't think enough can be said about Mike Morreale, former CFLer, now a very capable sports executive, what he's done with that Canadian Basketball League. And I'm really excited about their future.
He's a first-class guy, and thank you for the shout-out for Mike. Thanks, Jimbo. Jim Lang joining us from the Big Smoke, the GTA. We'll be back with a sports update, and we'll fire up audience takeover when we come back for the rest of the show. Your comments to us, we'll answer them, and comments as well. Questions and comments. We're live from Century Downs Racetrack and Casino on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacroix. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. It's me, the champ. We're back live at Century Downs Racetrack and Casino just before we bring in Kevin the Medium again. And boy, we have some fun stuff to get to that doesn't totally include... Boy, he's there. He's there. Do you mind sitting there and smiling while I read a sports update?
That's what I do best.
On a Monday, Boston Bruins forward. This is our breaking news today. David Krejci's retiring from hockey. The 37-year-old Czech forward spent his entire 16-year NHL career with the Bruins, won a Stanley Cup in 2011, played over 1,000 games, and had 786 points. Hats off to David Krejci retiring today. The Blue Jays had the day off after dropping 2 of 3 to the Cubs at Rogers Center. It avoided a sweep. They got the Phillies in there Tuesday for the first of a 2-game series. This sports update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In theaters August 25th, Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo is based on the unbelievable true story of a team of unlikely underdogs, a struggling working-class gamer, a failed former race car driver, and an idealistic motorsport executive. Together, they risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world. Gran Turismo is an inspiring, thrilling, and action-packed story that proves that nothing is impossible when you're fueled from within. Want to go?
I would go to that one. I wouldn't go to the other one you were mentioning.
Okay, so this is where it's going to get fun. And look, Kevin was saying, this is like the fastest 2 hours ever. And I'm like, it always is, but especially today. Seems faster than normal. But we've talked about Antonio Pipkin being traded from Hamilton to SAS. We've talked about the Lions speedboating Calgary the other night. We talked about the watch party. We talked about Krejci. We talked about the NFL. We talk about something real fun for a second? Movies. And I said I was going to go to Barbie this week. You know who told me that I really got to go? Who cinched it, by the way? Buffalo Bill. He went to it last night. He's like, you got to go to Barbie.
If you're taking movie advice from Buffalo Bills, I can't even help you at this point. There's no help left.
You have to come with me. Because when I walk into the Landmark Cinema to watch Barbie, if I were to go alone,
should we hold
they would think this is like a Pee Wee Herman type thing.
Should we hold hands
Whatever
as we
it
go
takes.
see it?
You asked if I was going to wear pink shorts, and I'm like, maybe.
Should we tell the story about the pink shirts?
We did last hour. We told that story already. About what the race harness driver said to me. Yeah, we told it.
Okay.
So, Barbie, thumbs up or thumbs down, people. I'm going to go to it this week.
Oppenheimer.
Went to it, walked out. I'd have to watch. If I went to it, I'd have to go to the second half.
You have the attention span of a gnat.
It's 3 hours long, bro.
How about that?
That's when the movie is good.
Did you even go?
No, that's what I said. I want to go to Oppenheimer.
Well, yeah, you go, and after 2 hours, tell me if you still want to sit in the seat and have your ass fall asleep, because that's what happened to me.
You just didn't go to the right theater where they have the recliners.
I'll do me, you do you. Bob McCullough writes in. He says, shout out to Lucas Glover for repping the over 40 golf crowd. Clutch win. Saw that, winning at the age of 43.
Nice.
From Reg Dunlop, he says, turn in your man card if you go to that movie. I will. You can have it. My dad used to say that if I was wearing pink. Dad would question my masculinity. I said, I'm good. I'm good. You do you.
It's 2023.
Exactly. From Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says, Barbie, strangely enough, thumbs up. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, Landmark Cinema's best theater experience ever. Just do it. That's what I'm saying. It may not be tonight. It may not be tomorrow. But it will be this week. I'm going to Landmark Cinemas and probably the Barbie movie. So it sounds like you're not in.
You're taking advice from John Ohm. Was it not John Ohm that put it out in the universe
that Zach Collaros would get hurt?
John, come on now.
That's right, John Ohm. You weren't here on Friday for us to trounce you. We did it anyways, even though you weren't here. He put out that Zach Collaros was going to get hurt. Next thing you know, he's hurt. And last hour, we had Darrin Bauming on from Bonfire Sports Winnipeg at NHL.com, and he said that Zach was missing day one of Bomber practice today. Jay Miller, who I believe is in Winnipeg, writes in and says, the Edmonton Commanders? Somebody was asking earlier my thoughts. I'll give you mine, and I want yours. On the Washington football team, apparently going to go back to the name Redskins. And I had a football guy, Curtis, emailed me yesterday a story where a First Nations community in America has a petition with 80,000 names on it from the First Nations community that wants the name turned back to Redskins.
Oh, really?
That was an article from a reputable news source that they would do that. And what people are saying now is if the Washington NFL team goes back to Redskins, will the Edmonton CFL team go back from Elks to Eskimos? And to sit and try and predict that today, who knows? Should they?
Show me one Eskimo that was upset that Edmonton was called the Eskimos. I've not seen one Eskimo complaining about it. I've seen a bunch of old white guys complaining about it, but not one Eskimo complained about it.
I don't mind talking about it. I know it gets a lot of people really uncomfortable. Apparently, you're not supposed to use the term Eskimo anymore. That's why they changed it in the first place.
There's still Eskimo pies.
Oh, trust me. Trust me. There's still Indian Head, Saskatchewan. There's still Indian Wells tennis tournament in Palm Springs. Like,
I get it. But I think the pendulum has swung way too far. And you know my political leanings are more left than right.
You're a liberal.
But I'm more center. We've talked about this. Everything has to be in balance in life. We've talked about that in the universe. Everything needs to be balanced. I think that pendulum has to swing back a little bit. I think
it is kind of coming back a little bit.
I hope so.
Jeff in Winnipeg says if Edmonton wants to win again, they'll change it again.
Oh, come on. That has nothing to do with the name.
Pum. Viewer Kyle says Jordan Tutu said he liked the name Eskimo. The only quote I remember from Jordan Tutu, whom I know, was that he goes, my grandfather calls himself an Eskimo. The inference was that my grandfather does, but I don't. But I don't want to speak for Jordan Tutu. John Ohm's all upset that he thinks we're accusing him of Zach Collaros getting hurt. He says, all I said, if he got hurt, the only way the Elks could maybe win. I didn't wish he got hurt.
But you put it into the universe.
You put it out. You want to explain this? Which, by the way, maybe we need to take a break. Yeah, we will. We'll come back and talk about that streaming series that scared the bejeepers out of you.
I don't get scared very often.
And he's a medium. He speaks to dead people, which makes him great for this show. We'll be back for overtime right after this. Live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Century Downs Racetrack and Casino presents the World Professional Chuck Wagon Association Finals. Be here when the wagons roll August 23rd to 27th. Single-day tickets and 5-day passes available at showpass.com. Century Downs, welcome to the winner's zone.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Here we go. We're back live. Century Downs one final time in overtime for the Four Seasons. It's brought to you by, well, our text line's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. They provide the right keynote speaker for your event. Contact Joe at emjmarketing.com. 902-518-3033. We got 8 minutes right on the nose for you to reach us in this final segment. Kevin, the medium, is with me here at Century Downs. The Moose is on vacay. And the text line. Think about this for a second. We're all across Canada in 2 million homes, plus at least that many in America, plus on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. They're all just sitting back, Kev, and enjoying the show. Write in, please. with your questions and comments. Unless we've covered everything today, which I kind of think we probably did.
We have been all over the board.
Yeah, Carlos in Indianapolis says, by the way, there's a minor league ball team called the Indianapolis Indians. So not every team has changed its name. But I don't want to see the Redskins change their name back from Commanders. I really like the name Commanders because, as you know, I think you know, our viewers know, I do a lot of work with the military in the mental health realm and addiction recovery, and they love the name Commanders.
Of course.
They love it. So, hey, how about this? If they change it back, they'll offend the military people. How about that? What do you think about it? John in Edmonton says the Elks said that the Eskimo people were upset. But some Eskimo chiefs were never upset. They said that they were proud to have a team named after them. That's what I thought. But to have this argument today is so 2020. It's so COVID pandemic. We had nothing else to talk about. You didn't even know who I was then.
No.
We sit and talked about this for days. I'm sick of it.
I was just learning to become a medium then.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I mentioned the streaming show.
Oh, my goodness.
And this was of Serena's. She's probably watching right now. She's on her way home. Currently on a layover in Dallas. 902-518-3033, the number to reach us here. Do you want it? I don't even remember the name of the show, but she told you to watch it.
28 Days of Haunting.
Okay. Explain.
The whole concept is they have 3 teams. One team had 2 people. The other 2 teams had 3 people, and they went to a haunted place. And they had to spend 28 days in this haunted place. And these people were mediums. There was a demonologist. There was what do they call them? Paranormal investigators. I have watched a lot of these shows, and a lot of them I just sit back and laugh and think, what a joke. Like, you're making a mockery of what I do. This show, oh my goodness. I literally, my dogs at one point during the show
went and hid?
No, they freaked out. They started growling, and which made Allison and I pause the TV because they were like, both of them, all their hair on their back were standing straight up, and they were looking into a corner, growling.
28 days of haunting.
Yes, it's insane. If you're into that kind of thing, watch it. It's the most real haunted show, I'll say, out there. I've never seen anything like it, and I was excited when at the very end, they said they were going to do another season because it really shows what is out there.
I don't even know if this ties into that, but she's texting me now. No coincidences, they say.
There's no coincidence. She knew we were going to talk about her.
How about that? Just taking off from her connecting flight in Dallas on the way to Fort Lauderdale. Nice. So, as you know, she's a bit of a nervous flyer. Everything is going great. So, that's
Thank goodness,
cool.
Because this flight up here didn't go that great.
But she made it.
She made it.
And she'll make it home.
There you go.
Sports on tap tonight. It's a very light night in sports. Hey, you thought we were in the doldrums or dog days of summer before. The Blue Jays are off today. There's one NFL game tonight, and I don't know, Clark, if you know, if anybody knows, if this one's on television tonight, it must be Baltimore Ravens at Washington Commanders. But I'm not sure that it'll even be worth watching. But that is the game tonight. Until hockey starts, like there's just now August is like the deadest month on the calendar, I think.
It's probably the worst month for sports there is, besides the CFL, of course. But it's just there's nothing else out there. Basketball day isn't going on. Hockey isn't going on. And even with hockey, there's like no talk. There's no trades. There's nothing really to talk about except one guy retiring. I won't even mention his name. I'm still angry. I'm still hurt. 2011 still hurts. Why are you looking at me like that for?
I just wonder when you're going to get over these things.
13.
Yeah, 13th man. He always brings up. Yeah, good point. Because I'm not really over that either.
No.
I guess in the couple of moments that we have left, we have 3 minutes left in the show. 902-518-3033. I was at the Stampeders watch party the other night at the Shark Club, and I'll put up. You don't want me saying this, but I'll say it again. Come to the watch party, that's great. Don't expect to sit with me the whole game.
It's an impossibility because you
can't. I can't do that.
You're bouncing around.
I'm bouncing around.
But speaking of the watch party, you said something.
That you're irrational? That's why I'm bringing it up, bro.
I figured it out. I have a team. You don't. You just love the CFL. In general, you don't have one team. You won't wear one team's jersey.
No.
You just love the CFL. I love the CFL, but I bleed black and orange. That's the difference. That's the passion that you don't understand with most people.
You couldn't be more wrong. I'm sitting at the Shark Club. Consider this. He's in a BC Lions jersey, Paul McCallum's. His wife, Allie's in a Stampeders jersey, Rennie Paradis. And every time the Lions scored, he'd reach over and poke her. You understand, if my team was playing the Edmonton Oilers, and every time they scored on the Oilers and I poked Serena, she would drill me. I wouldn't do it. You're lucky you didn't get punched.
She would
and I would have advocated that Allie did punch you.
She would do the exact same thing to me.
I wouldn't do that to Serena. That's the difference. See what I'm saying? It's irrational of you to harass your wife who's cheering for the other team. I appreciate the trying to explain that, but you failed.
It's passion.
Dougal Cameron, in the moments we have left. Final minute, he writes in, he says, do you think the Dickinson brothers survived Labor Day as coaches? Hang on, and we'll gnaw on that tomorrow.
That'd be a good one.
30 seconds? Well, I know I could wrap it up in 30 seconds, my answer to that, but I'm not going to. Dougal, you'll have to come back here tomorrow to get our take on that. Thanks, Kev. Great job.
You're welcome. Did I pass my audition?
I'll let you know later.
Okay.
Thanks to Jem Lang. Thanks to Darrin Bauming. And most of all, thanks to you people, because without you, there would be no us. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern on Game Plus Television. And here, WQEE Radio.
Who has more fun than us?